The 74 poems in Michèle Voltaire Marcelin's Lost and Found are as central as they are lyrical, as tender as they are incandescent. Make sure you are sitting down, or better yet, lying down, with your beloved and a glass of wine as you read them. Your heart and your love life will never be the same. This poet is stunning, and if you haven't read her, you will, I pray, get her book, Lost and Found, and she's going to be my next guest. I'm longing to speak to Michèle Voltaire Marcelin.
Hello, Dr. Angelou.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be talking with you.
Oh, you're a wonderful poet.
Thank you.
You lifted me up, and when I read your poetry, I'm reminded of how much alike human beings are.
I'm so glad you say that, because as I was coming here, I was thinking about those artificial fences that we build to separate each other, and which don't need to exist.
Exactly not. Exactly not. In fact, the statement was made by Terence. The statement is homo sum, humani nihil me alienum puto. I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me.
Yes.
And it was made by Terence in 154 BC. An African, a slave, sold to a Roman senator. He was freed by that senator. He became the most popular playwright in Rome. 5 of his plays and that one statement have come down to us from 154 BC. Terentius Afer. He said, I am a human being.
Whatever is human.
Exactly.
Whatever is human touches me.
Exactly.
It sort of reminds me in a cornerstone, who touches me touches the world.
Exactly.
I was reminded of the Talmud saying, who saves one life saves the world entire.
Exactly. Exactly. And, John Donne in the 17th century, the life of ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. The death of every human being diminishes me.
Yes.
It is so true, but it's so obvious in your poetry. And you speak from a woman's point of view. You speak as a Haitian woman. I know you speak a number of languages. I know you've lived in Chile, and I believe you live in Brooklyn now.
I do live in Brooklyn. I've lived in Haiti, in Santiago, Chile, and in Brooklyn now. Happy to be so.
And me too. I'm happy that you're here. And tell me, how did you begin to write poetry? What happened?
Like Plato says, at the touch of love, every man becomes a poet.
That's right.
I fell in love.
Oh, I see.
I fell in love and wrote poetry of love. But what was amazing, Dr. Angelou, is at the time that I thought I was writing poetry for a loved one, it ended up being poetry of love. One love.
I see.
One love as a thread that runs through it all, and I reclaimed myself. So it became love of myself. It became love of country, and I only found out after I wrote them.
Yes. Did somebody point it out to you, or did you really?
No, someone said that. Someone said,
"Oh,
you're writing about Haiti." Oh, I am.
Of course.
In fact, the first novella I wrote, La Désenchantée, The Disenchanted, I thought I was writing about a very difficult time in my youth. The entire novel seems to be about Haiti.
Haiti, yes. Yes, it's. I think that any truth you tell is a total truth.
And you must tell the truth if you're an artist.
I know. I've learned that in all my years of writing. You just tell the truth and tell it as beautifully as possible, as exquisitely as possible in your language, but tell the truth. Don't shuck and jive.
Yes, a very, very important woman wrote once, the idea is to write it so that people hear it, and it slides through the brain and goes straight through the heart.
To the heart.
It was you. You wrote that. I think this is the way I try to write.
Yes, exactly. There's a poem I have about 5 poems I want to read. May I read this, please?
Please.
This is a poem of Michèle Marcelin. I would give you my heart, my time, my poems, but I do not know you, and you do not exist. Had we lived in the same time, and by the same tune, I'd walk in the crossroads of your palm. I would eat from your mouth, and sheltered by your skin, I would sleep in the shadow of your eyes. I would never be cold. Your scent would be my scent. I'd know you from afar, in the crowd. I would remember you. Ah, you good girl, you good poet, you good woman. Thank you. Thank you. I felt that way about a few people in my life.
But that is the part of love where you do merge into the other, not losing yourself.
No,
just
no.
merging, because I think basically people have lists of things that they're looking for in the other that they're seeking.
Yes.
But basically, I think all we want is kindness. All we want is for our hearts to be safe.
And fair play.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly. I wondered what poets have really, in your youth, did you read poetry when you were young?
Poetry was a vice that I had to keep hidden. No one else my age was reading poetry when I was. They wouldn't have understood. Yes, yeah. I read Verlaine, Rimbaud. I read the French poets.
Oh, I see.
I read the French poets. I read Apollinaire and all of Aragon. I'm partial. I'm completely a fan of Aragon. I would bring him everywhere.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Aragon, Louis Aragon.
Yeah.
His poems have been put to music by many people because the poems themselves are so musical.
Musical. Mm-hmm.
And there is, and I don't know if you know him, there's a poet called Léo Ferré. And, well, the reason he's important to me is because when I was 13, and he's a singer, but he writes poetry, he wrote, "Poetry is a clamor. It must be listened to like music. It is not complete on the written page.
That's right.
It takes its life like the violin takes its life with the bow."
Yes, exactly.
And you know, I've sort of made this my credo. I said, this is the way you make people love poetry. You say it.
Yes, exactly. I've often said that poetry is music written for the human voice.
It is.
It is, and if until you speak it, it doesn't live. It's fine on the page as a map, as a chart, as a direction. But until you put it in the human voice, you know.
So it reaches the human ears.
And heart.
And heart.
You know, for years I was a mute. For many years.
I've read the book, of course.
And the woman who really had such an impact on me, an African-American woman, she took me to the black school in a little village in Arkansas. And she said, "I want you to read every book in this school, in this library." Miss Marcelin, there may have been 300 books. I have more books in the room I'm sitting in now in my home, not to mention the libraries. But I thought this was every book in the world. I read everything. I don't say I understood that much, but I loved the poets. And so she told me to memorize poetry. So I memorized. And of course, since I didn't speak, I had plenty time to memorize. And I loved Paul Laurence Dunbar. I loved James Weldon Johnson. I loved Georgia Douglas Johnson. Now, this may be a poet you haven't heard. Georgia Douglas Johnson, 19th century born.
No, tell me.
African American. Okay, here's a little poem of hers. Small, short. Her poem is, "I want to die while you love me, while yet you hold me fair, while laughter lies upon my lips and lights are in my hair." Yes, I want to die while you love me. Who would care to live till love had nothing more to ask and nothing more to give? No, I want to die while you love me and bear to that still bed your kisses.
I love it.
Yes, it's wonderful. So I memorized, and then after about 6 years, Mrs. Flowers, this black lady who had started me to reading, who had encouraged me, and she talked to me at least 2 or 3 times a year, and I would write my answers on a little tablet. She said to me, "You will never love poetry." So I took my tablet. I quickly wrote, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "No," and she wouldn't even look at my tablet. And she was a gracious lady. She said, no, you will never love it until you feel it come across your tongue, over your teeth, through your lips. You will never love poetry. I ran from her and went to my grandmother. My grandmother hugged me and said, don't worry. Mrs. Flowers came to my grandmother's house, her store, and pointed her finger at me. Now, black people don't really like to be pointed at, you know. And she did that in front of my grandmother, who was the biggest thing in the world to me. But she continued to harass me until after about 6 months, I went under the house and tried to say a poem of Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It shades our cheeks and hides our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. I found I had left my voice. My voice hadn't left me. And Miss Marcelin, I have hardly stopped talking ever since.
For our joy.
Oh, thank you.
But you said you received a gift of poetry. You gave me a gift of poetry as well, without knowing it. And I don't think you wrote it for me or for Haiti, but I claim it as mine, Dr. Angelou.
Please, please.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise.
That's it.
Out of the huts of history's shame, up from the past that's rooted in pain, bringing the gifts my ancestors gave, I rise, I rise, I rise.
That's it. Thank you so much.
I am hopeful and blessed, and I truly believe Haiti will rise.
I do believe it. I do believe it. I have to believe it. I mean, because there is that in the human spirit, whether it's in Haiti or Chile or Mississippi. There's that in Tobago, Trinidad. There's that in Tokyo and Kyoto. There is that in Paris. There is that all over the world in Madrid. There is that in the human spirit in Senegal. It is true in Stockholm. It's true in Russia. We are more alike than we are unalike. And I'm pleased to know that every time you put your pen to paper, you are writing about all of us.
After the earthquake, I was assaulted continuously with images of Haitians as desperate beggars. Yes. And I know one of our faults as a people is excessive pride. Because you see, we were responsible for one major miracle. January 1804, the Haitian independence,
of course.
Which was a miracle. I need to write that Haitians are not what was being shown. That even though they've memorized sorrows like every black person, very deep into the bones.
Yes.
But when I went to Haiti after the earthquake, wherever I went, I saw that life prevailed.
Yes.
In front of destroyed homes and businesses, I saw strength. Yes. In spite of the desolation, strength. Yes, everywhere dear. There was strength. Yes. Life, yes, triumphs.
Yes. You may write me down in history. That's it. Do what you like. I rise. That's it. Miss Marcelin, I am saying first to all my audience, I beg you, as soon as you can, get this book Lost and Found. And then you will find other books of Miss Marcelin. Michèle Voltaire. I love your middle name.
Well, it's actually my maiden name.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Voltaire, for the great poet.
It's a great legacy, no?
It is a great legacy, Marcelin. And you will bless my heart. When you read her poetry, you will say, thank God for Maya Angelou, because I was the one to introduce you. And you'll go further. You'll bless her heart.
I thank you so much.
And pray her to continue to write. I thank you so much with my heart. Thank you for the poetry. Thank you for this hour time we've been together. And thank you for the work yet to be done.
Thank you so very much. I'm very blessed to be here with you.
Thank you. Stay well. God bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, is that exciting? It's so exciting. I was brought to tears at the depth and the profundity and the sweetness of this poet, of this woman, this Haitian. My dears, I thank you for listening, and I will ask you, please continue to write to me. Send me notes. Let me know who you'd like me to talk to. Let me know subjects you're interested in. I will do my best to accommodate. Thank you very much. I'm Maya Angelou on Oprah Radio.
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has an